Welcome to the InstantCast presented by the PewterCast. Today we are talking about game number 5 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2017 season, where they flew out to Arizona, all the way out there to the Cardinals to face them off, try to get a little bit of retribution for the, 40-7 walloping they put on us last year. And we're going to be talking about that game. Didn't exactly turn out the way that we Buc fans would want it to have turned out, but yeah, we'll be talking about it. We'll get into it because that game certainly had a lot of highs, at least a few highs, and a lot of lows. With us as always, Ren Daxt here to talk to us. Ren, how's it going, my friend?
What did I just watch?
I think all of Bucs Nation is asking that exact same question.
Wow, that was not the performance I was expecting coming off the mini-bye week in a quote-unquote revenge game. Be able to go above 500. It was just the supposed, lower-tier offensive line and an aging running back, aging quarterback. That was bad. That was bad early.
It was. Can we figure out how to play 4 quarters of football? It's one of my biggest things coming off of this. So for the record, in the end, the Buccaneers wound up losing 38-33. Was that the final score?
It was a nail-biter.
Nail-biter all the way to the very end. This happened to be the game where the Buccaneers put up the most points that they have all season long, right?
In one half of football.
In really 1 quarter of football, was it not? I mean, my gosh. But that first half, what did we go into the half? 24-0? 27-0? Something like that? I think I saw somewhere Dirk Koetter said from the podium that was the worst half of football he has ever seen in his life, and we all agree.
Yeah, it'd be hard to top that.
Yeah, it absolutely would. All right, well, Ren, we are definitely going to get into the show. We're going to be talking all about the game. We'll be giving our thoughts. We've already got lots of people jumping in. We are broadcasting live on Mixlr.com. That's MIXLR.com/the PewterCast. We are here every Sunday night at 9 o'clock following away games, and stay tuned for home games. We'll let you know what happens with those as we go game to game. But for anyone who wants to call in, we'll go ahead and open the phone lines. Did not have a chance, just so you guys know, to test it. So if it's not working exactly, just bear with us. Call us back. But that phone number is 864-729-2827. That's 864-729-BUCS. You can call in. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Just a note, let's keep it PG-13. I know we're all frustrated, but we still want to try to maintain our rating with that. But we're not gonna pound you if something slips out either. So
I don't know. I'm not in the best of moods. I might snap.
Yeah, you
That's
might.
Not true. I'll probably be the one who ends up cursing tonight if anybody is.
You'll get us our rating there. So with that, Ren, while we wait, I know that there's a couple people who have kind of lined up to call. So while we wait to hear from anyone, why don't you go ahead and talk to us, man? What are your where do we even begin? Where do you want to start?
You got to start with the defense. I mean, every time Arizona touched the ball, they just drove down the field and scored. And they weren't nickel and diming either.
Mm-hmm.
And guys were more than wide open. I mean, they were. It was terrible to watch. Like, there was, of course, they were playing soft zone. The Buccaneers playing soft zone, and I don't know. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. Every time they touched the ball, they scored. That includes the first possession of the second half, and next thing you know, it's 31-0.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take this call. Let's see who wants to chime in on the conversation here. Welcome in to the InstantCast show with Brent and Ren. Who we got talking to us here today?
Dr. Milsky, it's me, Javier in Panama City.
Javier, how's it going, buddy?
How you feeling, buddy?
What? Listen, it's been a couple of hours after the game and I still feel sick. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I need to cry, need to go for a run, go for a walk,
punch
have
something.
To eat. I don't know. This game was just so hard to watch at the beginning. I have no words. I can't. We have to go all the way back to 2014 to see a team that came out so flat after so much time. I mean, what happened? Where was the preparation? Mm-hmm. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's inexplainable. Sometime during that first half, I was thinking about shooting heroin. I thought that might get me over it. I thought about just turning it off altogether, but I knew I had to at least talk semi-intelligently about the game later, which is now. So, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to share with you these stats. And by the way, we went 24-0 at the halftime. Look at these stats. Carson Palmer, over 30 years old, a mobile quarterback, 13 for 13, 2 TDs. Adrian Peterson, 3-4 days with the team, over 30 years old. People thought he was done. 11 carries, 85 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald, great player, all-time player. 8 catches, almost 130 yards and 1 TD. I mean, we made them look like they were the greatest offense in the entire world.
Those were all first half stats, right?
Yeah, that's. I took a screenshot of their first half stats.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, Carson Palmer had his first incomplete pass. I believe it was a pick.
Yeah, the first pass went
real incomplete was in the middle of the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, along with their first punt. Which was something I always wondered. Like, if a quarterback threw an interception, does that count as a completion or an incompletion? And I finally got my question answered today. It's an incompletion, which I don't think is fair.
And Javier, let me throw another stat at you heading into halftime. Buccaneers, or I don't know if this is halftime or maybe close to the fourth quarter. Buccaneers were something around, it was like they were 2 of 8 on third downs, or 2 of 13 or something like that on third downs. And the Cardinals were 2 of 3 on third downs, meaning at that point in the game, they had only hit third down 3 times.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They were just gashing us every time. And, I mean, what is going on with Bernard Hargreaves? I really don't get it. I mean, has he regressed? Is somebody getting into his mind? He played so much. He played really back on the first half. Then he started playing a little bit more closer to the wide receiver, and there was a little change, but still, I mean...
Yeah, it didn't seem to help much. Every pass that was thrown to him was completed in the game. Thrown at him.
Yeah, they were
direction
picking on him all time.
Was a completion. Mm-hmm. And, he also had a very bad game supporting the run, which is normally his strength.
Yeah, he took quite a few tackles, yeah. And also, when we go 24-0 to halftime, it's not only the defense fault. I mean, our offense, it's the same thing again and again. Slow starts, getting behind, and especially on the road. Jameis Winston with missing passes, and you start getting really behind. I mean, I came a little bit late to the game, and it was already 7-0, and all of a sudden it's 14-0, no more running game, pass. Then Jameis gets hurt, and I mean, hopefully it's not a really serious injury. Hopefully he's ready next weekend because we really need him. But my God, I mean, this is the second year in a row we started 2-3, and for the high expectations we have, I mean, it's really disappointing this game.
Yeah, and it's just it's such a head scratcher, and it just sort of harkens back to the Minnesota game. I mean, the only 2 road games we've had this year, we've got blown out of the building.
Blown out, and the same thing.
Blown out of the building. Yeah, I mean, the game was over at
the other
halftime.
team goes ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's next? What do we do? What do you think? How do we refocus this week?
Well, I am calling for Jameis to, he's had enough time. I mean, we always talk about, he'll get it. He'll get the long ball. His chemistry will down. They tried it on the first offensive play. Mike Evans was open. He was wide open.
He missed it. Look at the pass that that Fitzgerald, the TD patch to Evans. I mean, they barely practiced together,
right.
and they got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he hit a deep one to Jackson too.
Yes.
You know, so this sort of like chemistry and never, you know, it's going to come type of thing. I think that conversation's over. The conversation needs to be.
We've already had one quarter of the season, so if it's not coming soon, when is it going to come? I mean, we can't wait until they get another off season together.
Right. And Javier, I mean, and Ren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a little bit of where you might be going with that conversation is, you know, Javier, you said just a minute ago, we hope that Jameis' injury is not too bad, that we need him back. I think the question a lot of fans are asking themselves is, do we? Do we really need Jameis back? I mean, because Ren, what you were just saying there was that the time is over for all of this. Is he going to get it? Is this stuff going to develop? Well, what do you do if it doesn't? Is the next logical step of that you move on from Jameis Winston?
No, you don't move on from Jameis Winston. You can't overreact from one game. I mean,
but is it one game? But is this one game?
We played a great second half, but it's only one half, and we were we were against the wall, so we had nothing to lose. But I still believe in Jameis. But why do we always have to look at Deshaun Jackson for the deep ball? I know that's his strength, but can we throw him like a screen? I mean, I believe we got Bernard Reedy on the run. Can we put Deshaun Jackson in that same position? He still has his speed. Can we get him like a bubble screen or something, getting more involved? It's like we always want him just for the deep ball, and I feel we should. I mean, Mike Evans was covered pretty well by Patrick Peterson, so let's look elsewhere. I mean, Adam Humphries went crazy in the second half, running around when the middle was wide open. Let's get him more involved. I mean, Cameron Braid was, I don't know, he played a great game. I think he had like an early drop.
Early drop.
Yeah.
But, he definitely
Braid certainly seemed to return to form. You know, he had an off week last week. He certainly seemed to return to form, this week. So that's definitely a positive, I think, to take out of it.
Actually, I hate to say this, but, I mean, at least we didn't quit. I do think that is a sign of improvement. I recall previous seasons where after that score at halftime, we would have packed our bags and headed to the next game. So at least we came back and gave it something in the second half.
Hey, listen, can you imagine if we would have, hit like that one more touchdown or, maybe hit a couple of those field goals or something, gotten in there and eked this one out. I mean, you talk about a comeback. You talk about where we are. You've got to be proud of our guys. You really do. I can hear Pulowski.
No, I
don't. You've got to be proud of them. Okay, maybe you don't. You're proud of them on the one side if they fought back. But
I wouldn't say proud, but at least it's something. I mean, it's not that I'm proud, but at least they give it. It's
like
the
only thing you can take out of it. Like if you're digging for a silver lining, that's what you can say.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I said something today, watching today's game, that I have not said at all this season, and I said, "Well, that's my Bucs." That's my Bucs. The first time I've said it all season.
Hey, speaking on that, I mean, we give Chris Baker, a.k.a. Swaggy, a lot of flack for not practicing, for being called like the laziest player in practice in Hard Knocks.
Who's we? Who's we?
Most of us. Like,
are you in there with that?
I gave him flack with that. But he showed up. I mean, he didn't. He was all over the field. I mean, Chris Baker, he showed up on the field today.
Yeah, Chris, I think he's had a season so far where he's been somewhat invisible. Like, that he's working. He's in there grinding it out during the games. You know he's doing something. We've just not seen him flash up. We've not seen his jersey. He's always he might be at the bottom of the dog pile. I don't know. But today, I saw his name and I saw his jersey number more times than I can care to count. Like, he was visible today. He really was.
he had a good game. He flashed. The first time I saw him flash was in the New England game when he sort of ran down that screen from the backside.
Yeah, exactly.
And they got a big. I think they ended up getting one of the very few stops in that series for the Patriots. And then he was splashing 2 or 3 times today. So I mean, if you're digging for silver lines, Chris Baker had a good game, but the defense is lost. It looked like they were going press man somewhere in the second half, and it seemed to slow down the Cardinals. So I don't know if that's the answer. There's lots of questions, and I hope. What I don't understand was the whole, and the announcers brought it up, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, why were they going for 2 after they scored that last touchdown?
I was gonna ask the same thing because, for example, me personally, at the end of the first half, when they try to go for it on 4th down, I would have kicked the field goal and then at least have some points on the board before halftime as like a little boost. But we went all on our 2-point conversions, and then we were really behind. I mean, how many is our head coach really scared of kickers now that he doesn't want them? He doesn't want them in the field at all.
No,
I mean, Patrick Murray.
No, I think he's trying to be partly trying to be a hero, trying to go for it, trying to show he has some cojones, some balls.
Well, the defense had shown that they were had no intention of stopping Arizona at all up to that point. They haven't even punted the ball yet. No turnovers. So every time they touched the ball, they scored. And they did it the next time they got the ball in the 3rd quarter. So I don't mind going for it at 4th down at the end of the half because you're going to need lots of points. It wasn't about like, I'm just not going to kick it because I don't trust the kicker, or 3 is just not, I'm going to go for 7. I'm being greedy. They needed the 7 because the defense had not stopped the Arizona offense at all. And then as far as the 2-point conversions, which I understood as well, because once they did score a touchdown, if you do a 2-point conversion and convert them every time, that's 1 less touchdown you have to score. So instead of having to score 4 or 5 touchdowns, you only need to score 4. And if you get all the 2-point conversions, that comes out to the same amount. So you catch up. So I get that. It didn't work out. What I didn't understand is, as a coach, you always are trying to give yourself the last chance to win. You're always trying to give yourself a chance to win. And as soon as they missed that last 2-point conversion, it erased basically their chance to win, because it went from a touchdown, extra point, field goal to tie to now you need 2 touchdowns. You'll win, but you need 2 touchdowns. So that I didn't get. The beat reporters didn't ask him, which I also didn't get. It's like they're scared of this guy now. It's like
they had the articles written.
It took him. Who cares? You still can ask the question. I mean, that was it. I mean, it took him 4 weeks to ask if Vernon Hargreaves is it a scheme, or is it he the one playing soft? Is he playing soft? So I'm a little upset with those guys, but I understand what you're saying, Javier, about going for it on 3. Yeah, and in hindsight, you're like, well, if you went for 3 and they would kick the extra points, it would have been like a tie game. I get that, but at the time,
I never second guess those type of decisions because they're more immersed into this. But that was my only iffy call, and it's tough. This game is really tough, but the season is not over. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna throw the towel. I'm still gonna watch every game and support this team. And
hey, listen.
Let's hope.
I was gonna say.
Let's hope things turn around.
Yeah. Listen. With that, the first quarter of the season we went 2-2. This is the beginning of the second quarter of the season, and we just want to see ourselves. Yeah. I mean, we just want. Well, we'll be at least. Best we'll do is 3-1. So, which is not bad. If we were to tell you went 2-2 in the first quarter of the season and 3-1 in the second quarter of the season, at the end of the year we're going to go, hey, that's not bad. But right now, man, it feels like a real big kick in the left testicle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So.
And with that, I'll just. There are many listeners, and I don't want to clog the line, but we've got a lot of road games in this stretch of the season, and it's going to be crucial It's going to be a crucial time in this season. Hopefully, Quan Alexander gets back because I think we've won only one game when he's missed. So please get him back on the field. So
yeah, we definitely need Quan back. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a quirky stat.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we helped you out and let you vent a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay.
Yeah,
with
it was a
Javier.
great PG rant, so it was great. Okay.
All right,
and
thanks,
we'll keep in touch, guys.
You got it, buddy.
Always, man.
You
Bye.
got it.
Thanks, Javier.
All right. Well, Javier mentioned all the listeners. Ren, I think we are coming close to setting a record number of listeners live at Mixler.com/ThePewterCast tonight. So I want to say hi to everybody who has jumped into the show. You guys are welcome to have a fun conversation going on over in the chat room, or if you'd like to call us, the number is 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. We'll talk about anything you want to do having to do with the game today. So, Ren, before Javier called in, we were talking about the defense a little bit.
Yeah, here's something that's going to start floating around, so I might as well start it, especially this week. You know, the way the Bucs' defense played by giving up all the yards, they were fortunate not to give up touchdowns against the Patriots, but obviously it didn't not work against the Cardinals this week.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Smith was fired from Atlanta because they felt his defense was soft. That they weren't aggressive enough, and that was sort of the fans. That was the be-all, end-all. Like, nice guy, we like him, you know, we think he's a good coach, but his defense is soft. Sort of like what happened to Lovey was, hey, your defense is terrible, you got to change it. No, I'm not changing it. Okay, well, then you're fired. And is it to the time we asked that, you know, maybe this is just the best that this is those last 5 games, that 5-game win streak last year and how well the defense played, is that going to be the outlier? And are games like the Patriots game the best we can really expect, and games like tonight are, you know, sort of closer to the middle? I don't want to say the worst. I mean, that was terrible. I don't think it can get much worse. But, you know, like 20, you know, I guess 21 points is good. And you can say 24 points, you know, if you hold a team under 24 points, you should win a lot of games. But never getting off the field, only giving, you know, your offense this limited time. It seems like the team early always has the ball like 2/3 more than our offense does. Their offense does because the defense can't just get off the field.
Get off the field, right?
And now we're behind, and that's when the Bucs, you know, the time of possession starts to balance out, because now we're throwing the ball and we're getting first downs, or, you know, we're eating it. It's like throw. And as long as, you know, you sustain those drives and start getting on the field, that's when, you know, we start to come back. But it seems like in the first half, especially on the road, and that Patriots game, like we're just so far behind the ball. It's like, they talk about rhythm all the time with Jameis and Kurt and Dirk. And you can't get into a rhythm when you're only on the ball, when you're only on the field like every 8 minutes of gameplay.
That's fair enough. So I'm going to ask a question. I teased this on Twitter during the game. I said there's something that I've kind of been holding back that I didn't want to put out there, but I think I'm ready to put it out there. I'm ready to ask this question.
Let's hear it.
And it's nothing earth shattering, so don't let me overhype it. But it's this: have other teams figured out Mike Smith's defense? Because it seems like it to me. It's starting to seem like it to me anyway. But they figured him out.
Well, this defense has been in the NFL for years. You know, it was successful at Jacksonville. It was semi-successful. And I don't even know if they're really running his defense in Atlanta, to be honest. He was the head coach, and they had a defensive coordinator. Now, were they preaching, you know, were they teaching his defense? Or was it sort of his defensive philosophy with the defensive coordinator twist on it? I don't know. But, you know, you've heard the quote sort of this last week where it said, Warren Sapp came out and said, like, you can't run the cover two. You can't run the cover two in today's NFL. Like, it just won't work. You know, it's too soft. It's too specialized. Teams have figured it out. I think Mike Smith has enough defensive knowledge to change it up. Like, because it seems like he did in the second half, especially, you know, halfway through the third quarter, the fourth quarter. when Arizona's drive started to stall.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a question of stubbornness? It's so hard because we just don't know. This is Brent. This is why we need our press credentials. So
yes,
I
agree.
So we can ask these questions. It's because the beat reporters are working on storylines and they're getting quotes for their story. Like they've already decided their questions before they get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not working on a story about has Mike Smith's defense been figured out, they're not going to ask that question. You know,
right.
They're not asking the questions that the fans want to know. They're asking the
right.
questions so they can get quotes and insert it in their story.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, I guess. I don't know. It's just a little frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little frustrated.
Dear Kelly at the Bucs PR staff, Brent and Ren kindly request press credentials so we can actually come ask the real questions that fans want to know.
We're gonna go in there and raise a little cane with our questions. Give us press credentials. No, you're not gonna get them. No.
We're gonna ask the real questions. No.
Well, these questions need to be asked. I mean, these are the actual questions that Bucs fans want to know. And when you lose or go on a losing streak, the questions aren't. There are going to be some tough questions, and I think that, Mike Smith needs to be held accountable this week. I got into this huge thing on Twitter. I broke my golden rule. Don't go on Twitter when the Bucs are losing.
Oh, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't. Ren.
And it took me about 5 minutes before I was like, yeah, now I remember I don't. I wasn't really paying attention to the game. It was like during halftime, I think. I'm like, I'll go on Twitter. I bet it's terrible just to see all this stuff. And I saw this tweet, and it was pretty innocent. It was just like, what did it say? How can a team be this bad with this many good players, or vice versa? Have this many good players and this bad?
Mm-hmm.
And I just responded, Dirk Koetter doesn't coach defense. And I was called stupid. Mm-hmm. I was called an a-hole. Like, they said I was trolling. And I'm like, and I didn't get it. I kept getting these responses like, he's the head coach. Everything falls on him. And I'm like, and so I'm responding like, name me one thing that Dirk Koetter coaches on the defense. Like, name me one thing he's responsible for on the defense. Like scheme, players, game plan, practice. Like, just tell me one thing. I mean, I get it all. Everything ends with the head coach. He's going to fall on the sword like he did in the press conference. We didn't get him ready. It starts with me. It's terrible football. It's all my fault. I need to be better. He did that. But defensively, he has nothing to do with them. And that was just the point I was making. And I got hung. And that's why I was crucified. So I don't go on Twitter because fans are exceptionally angry. And, you don't always think clearly. And you can't sort of break it down for someone when they're that angry and the team's losing that bad, where it's like, hey, Dirk Koetter has nothing to do with the defense. He just doesn't. It takes more than 140 characters, but man, these guys are just, I don't know. They were calling me, like I said, troll and a-hole, stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a joke. It was so, yeah. Don't go on Twitter if the Bucs are losing.
So going on Twitter and Facebook during the Bucs losing, and even in the aftermath following, a couple of the other things that you see out there is: should we fire Dirk? Should we change over this entire play staff, or this entire coaching staff? They're not ready to play in the NFL. Should we move on from Jameis? Should we try to trade Deshaun? I saw that one. Should we try to trade Deshaun and pick up something? I guess kind of like the Saints did with Adrian Peterson. Should we? Just questions. Like, I get the frustration, fans. I really do. Believe me, I understand the frustration. I was thinking this towards the end. And tell me, and Ren, you can tell me if I'm just putting on my fanboy blinders or trying to see the rosy thing. But here's the thing. This offseason leading into this deal, we looked and we saw, my God, we're going to have Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson and O.J. Howard and Cameron Braid and Adam Humphries, and Chris Godwin looks like a beast, and Doug Martin's going to get back. And if he's anywhere near a shadow of what he did in 2014 or 2015, then man, that's going to be solid. Plus, Jacquizz Rodgers has been running solid, and we've got
Mike Smith is back.
Yeah, Mike Smith, the best free agent signing that wasn't really a free agent. Mike Smith is back, and we got bigger up the middle. And man, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like we said that. Coach Koetter said from the beginning, "Whoa, guys, it's way too early to talk about that. It's way too early to get there." But we didn't listen. We kept getting overhyped, and now we're pissed because they're not living up to our expectations.
Well, when you get beat like a drum twice in 5 games, there's something wrong. It's a week-to-week league, so it can turn around quickly, and I get that. And another reason this hurt so bad, it's the Patriots game hurt bad because, if you're a realistic fan, you thought beginning of the year, like, hey, we're probably going to lose the Patriots game. No one's going 16-0. If you look at the schedule, what's the one game you're going to lose? If you have to lose one. Most people pick the Patriots game. But this Cardinals game was circled as soon as the schedule came out. All Bucs fans circled it. Mm-hmm. Even the players talked about it. We remember what they did to us. We remember. Mm-hmm. And I circled it. And it's like, we're going to go into Arizona, and, Jameis isn't going to throw 4 interceptions, which he didn't, even if you want to. Arizona's defense, especially there, has been shaky. We get back Doug Martin. They got an old quarterback. Their offensive line is in shambles, which got healthy just in time for us to show up. Thank you. Mm-hmm. They have 0 run game, last in the league, so they go and get, the oldest guy who should be, be doing his taxes at ARRP. Yeah, really, should have had a Walker. Yeah. And they whacked this to us again. Like, just did it to us again, and that's why it's so frustrating. It's because from a calendar year, as a team, we don't see there's been any improvement against the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Even if it was close, you could be like, okay, but it was the same thing. It was the exact same thing. It was like pinning your whole entire season. Like, it was like it was almost like a college rivalry in Bucs fans' heads. Like, okay, all right, you got us level. You wait, we got you this year. And then they went and laid a goose egg, like big time. Like it was a terribly played game defensively. Offensively, I'd have to go back and look at it. I don't think it was that terrible. I think we had problems running the ball. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see a lot of
sure Doug Martin got like -4 yards on the day. I don't know if it was that bad. He got some. He couldn't move. First half anyway. First 3 quarters, he couldn't get past the line of scrimmage hardly. And then he finally started busting it open.
It felt like it did last year, where he got the ball and he had, before he even took one step, he had to make a 250-pound man miss him. Like, and he was still 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So that was disappointing because the offensive line had been playing so well. It's like the Minnesota game. You just don't have any answers. You just,
what happened?
I hate to say it, but you look at the film, you realize your mistakes, you try to get better. Mm-hmm. But this move on from Jameis Winston thing, no. I do think there needs to be. I need Jameis to shut up and just hit the deep pass. I don't want to hear, it's going to come anymore. Mm-hmm. Because Fitzpatrick, who gets a third of your reps with these guys, if that, like maybe less, a quarter, a sixth of the rep, he was on time with these guys. So it's not timing; it's you. And I guess that's all. I'm really, upset about.
Yeah, it's time to stop with all the coaches speak or the players speak or whatever, and just do it.
It's time to stop pampering Jameis and making excuses for him.
Yeah,
that's what the Fitzpatrick second half showed me today. Is that obviously the team can put up some points. If you have an accurate deep ball, we can score a lot. So
we
now
can put points on the board. Our offense can put more than 17 points on the board.
Yeah, it's not the play calling. It's not the offensive line. It's Jameis is a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick, except for it looks like progression and in the deep ball. Ryan Fitzpatrick went through his progressions faster in the deep ball, and Jameis needs to get better at that. And it's just something that it seems that everybody, we've always sort of, pussyfooted around and made excuses for him. And he's young, and it's his third year, and all that stuff is true. But if we're going to take this step forward, it is now squarely on Jameis' shoulder.
Okay, so let me ask a question, and before I get there, I want to go ahead and put this out there. If anybody wants to call in and talk to us about this, because I want to dwell on this Jameis Winston thing for just a minute. But you guys go ahead and call us 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. Here's the thing I was thinking about Jameis today. Watching him against Tom Brady, who's been in the league for 15, 24 years. I don't know how long he's been in.
Since leather helmet.
Yeah, exactly. Before they had face masks. That's how long Tom Brady's been in. Carson Palmer was in before they ever actually had helmets. These are two old quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick, this is, God, what is this, his 8th, 9th year? No, is he in the teens yet? I don't know. He's been around for a while, right? You have all these guys who've been in the league for quite a while. This is Jameis' third year. Now, this is not me making an excuse. This is me just trying to say where's a place that Jameis can focus on and get better. And I'm wondering, to what you just said, Fitzpatrick went through his progressions faster. Fitzpatrick, is there something to the longer you're in the league, the more experience you have, the faster you can pick up on defenses, the faster you can pick them apart, the faster you can do all of that. And while therefore because Jameis isn't quite there yet with 3 years. Now, I'm not saying that gives him a pass. But I'm just saying, listen, you have to let your quarterback develop those, and that's only going to come with time. So even when you look at like a Dak Prescott or a Carson Wentz or Mitch Trubisky or these guys, they're all going through the same thing that even Jameis is going through as young quarterbacks of they're still learning to pick apart these defenses and where these guys have that big leg up. So, listen, yes, we are going to lose some games. Yes, Jameis is going to be inaccurate. And yes, Jameis is going to make some bad decisions. For right now, the longer we I don't know what the time limit is to allow that to happen, but we stay with him, and come year 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever that is, he's gonna get just as good at Drew Brees at picking apart offenses and carving them up because he's going to be able to see it that much quicker. Is there something to that?
Yeah, there's something to that, but that's not what. The narrative has been. The narrative has been the chemistry's coming. The chemistry's coming. Mm-hmm. The chemistry's coming. Mm-hmm. I really don't. The progression thing is just something that came up after the Patriots game, and Dirk Koetter talked about it in the after-game press conference, and then he talked about I think they had a press conference Friday as well, and he talked about it then. He's like, Jameis got to get better at his progressions. No one picked up on it. No one asked about it. Comes back the next day. Jameis got to get better at his progressions. No one talked about it. No one, asked another further question on it. And you could just see that Fitzpatrick was better at it. Now, Jameis stinks at the deep ball. That's it. Like, I'm off the wagon of it's coming, it's time, it's, once again, go back to the very first offensive play they had. Play fake, he goes up, he lays it out the middle, Mike Evans is open by 2 or 3 yards. All you have to, and not only the open is he's open, all he has to do is throw it somewhere in the middle of the field where he can get to it. But it was such a bad throw that Mike had no chance to get to it. And Jameis can't throw the deep ball. It needs to be fixed. And if he can't fix it, then they need to change offensive coordinators. This is a huge leap.
So that then is the question. Yes, he needs to fix it. Yes, he has to do there. But if he doesn't, and how much time do we give him to fix it? And if he doesn't, what change? If we're not changing Jameis, you're saying we change offensive coordinators?
You got to change scheme at least. At the very least.
Does that mean
you got to change the scheme?
Are we talking head coach maybe?
No, not right. I've jumped the gun. If Jameis can't improve his deep ball, if he's such a crappy deep ball passer, then he should not be in an offense that relies so heavily on the deep ball.
Okay.
You have to change your scheme. If Dirk Koetter refuses to change his scheme, like Lovie Smith refused to change his defensive scheme, yes, there needs a change to be made. Do I think Dirk Koetter is a bad play caller? No, obviously not. When they put the feet to the fire, this team scores points. Fourth quarter of the Patriots game. Halfway through the third and the fourth quarter of this game. When I don't even. It's just so hard to explain. It's like they play like the Detroit Lions. Have been playing for like the past, like all year. Detroit, had this pretty good record, went to the playoffs, but I think it was like 7 or 8 fourth quarter comebacks because they don't come alive until all the pressure's on. It's late in games, and the Bucs seem to be that way. How do you get out of that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know if it's a rhythm thing or a play calling thing or the team's head's not in it right at all the time. Some guys need to, have the ball thrown to them before they get into the game. Some guys need to carry the ball 2 or 3 times. It's Deshaun Jackson type of receiver that has to get a ball thrown to him, at least one every other series to stay sharp. These are things you got to figure out. But I'm just circling back. I am finished with making excuses for Jameis Winston and his deep ball. He stinks. He stinks at it.
And
I don't think.
I was going to say, I kind of like where you're going here because it's not something that we're talking about. And to be clear, because what I'm seeing out there on social media and from other fans and people that I'm talking to, and even you're talking about it, of there's no more room for excuses. This has to get better. This has to get better. This has to get better. I'm on the other side of saying, great, I agree. I'm not even asking how it gets better. It's just how long do we give it to get better, and if it doesn't, what do we need to do? And if the answer is not move on from Jameis, meaning we're going to stay with Jameis, then the only other thing could be move on from the coach. Now, a lot of fans keep pointing
towards the scheme.
Right. Well, but to my point, a lot of fans keep saying moving on from the coach, meaning the head coach, Dirk Koetter. But to kind of what you're saying, we could actually change our offensive coordinator before we change our head coach. We could actually change our quarterback's coach. Maybe it's something in there. I think it was on Ira Kaufman's podcast last week, and Chef brought it up when he talked to us last week, that they were saying something about how Bajankian got in there and screwed around with Jameis's mechanics, and I don't know how much that has to deal with it. I know that it screwed up Tebow. At least it seemed to a little bit. But I don't know what all of that is, but I mean, somebody's got to be held accountable for it, and if the coach isn't going to, and by the coach I mean the head coach, if he's not going to hold someone accountable, meaning Bajakian or Monken, those are the only two that we can see in this line right now, then he's going to be the one who gets held responsible for it. And I'm not saying that we should. I'm not saying that we should move on, because I've said this from the beginning, and I think Bucs fans will agree with me on this. Having a revolving door at head coach has been a major part of what's been keeping this team down for the last decade. So, we've got to stay with it.
I don't think Cutter's the problem. I don't think Cutter's the problem at all. I mean,
I would agree with you
offense
there.
Work.
For the record, I would agree with you there.
Yeah. I mean, he went to the AFC Championship game, as an offense coordinator with Jacksonville. He went to an NFC Championship game as an offensive coordinator with the Falcons. And as soon as he left, like, Matt Ryan turned to crap, and he was labeled a bust. Mm-hmm. And then he had last year's breakout year, and he seems to be sort of right on track this year. So I don't think it's Koetter. Now, maybe is the scheme not fit Jameis' skill set, and they're still trying to learn and work through it. I think that's where they are. They're not willing to give up on the scheme and the game plan. Mm-hmm. They're still working on Jameis' deep ball, but something's got to give, Mm-hmm. As these games start to click away and get away from us, and it's pretty much because Jameis is crappy at the deep ball. You can point at the Minnesota game. You can point at the Patriots game. These would be totally different games if he could just connect. And they're not hard passes. I'm not asking, him to fit it between a linebacker or a safety in a corner 35 yards downfield and drop it in a bucket. These guys are open. You're just missing him. And they're game changers. So this once again, this pussyfooting thing about this chemistry is going to come, for me, it's over. It's over. I like you as a leader, Jameis. I like you a lot as a leader. Your intangibles, all the good stuff we always say about Jameis. I'm still on board with that. Mm-hmm. But I am starting to get annoyed at the talk and not seeing the results.
And all of Bucs Nation in one voice said, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Let's talk about some other people. Let's move on from Jameis and Koetter. Unless somebody wants to call in and keep talking about it. The number is 864-729-BUCKS, 864-729-2827. Maybe a bright spot on the team, showing up for his second start. Justin Evans certainly seemed to be, I don't know, it's hard to say that there was a lot of bright spots on this defense tonight, but he did seem to flash for me tonight. He did seem to show up, and I saw him running people down, making tackles, even coming from behind to make some tackles on some people. So that's a positive, I guess.
I think the game will show that he had a very up and down game. He had a very rookie safety game, as well as he played against the Patriots, or I guess I should say, as well as the splash plays that he showed up against the Patriots. Mm-hmm. I think when you watch the film this week, he's gonna have a very up and down.
You think he's gonna look like a rookie this week?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I mean, who can you point to on the whole entire defense except maybe that had a good game? Except Levante David, he had a couple of forced fumbles. That's good.
Brent
scoop one up for a touchdown. Brent Grimes had a pick, but they threw at him 5 times, and I think 3 of them were completed, and 1 of them was picked. So, yeah, he had a little less than a Brent Grimes game, but he had a good game. Swaggy Baker, go ahead.
Yeah, let's see who we got. Thanks for calling in to the PewterCast. You're on with Brent and Ren. Who do we got here with us tonight?
We have Edmund Thompson. How's it going?
Edmund Thompson. We're doing good, buddy. Where are you calling us from?
Hey, Edmund.
Hey, calling you from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas, down in the D. Wow, man.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the PewterCast. What is on your mind? What are your thoughts about the game tonight?
I was wondering, given the fact that so many teams are playing quarters defense and playing like zones with 3 deep safeties and sometimes even 4, is it even possible for the Bucs to be throwing it down the field so many times? Like, shouldn't they force everyone to defend the entirety of the playbook by doing dink and dunk short stuff and then mixing in the deep ball? I mean, I know they're a play action team, but it's just sort of, if the deep ball's not there, how about pitching it off or throwing short 5-6 times to get in rhythm first, then open up the offense a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on last week's main show, and we had Trevor Sickler from the Pewter Report on. He said something that really resonated with me, that he feels that the offense is a lot harder than it needs to be. There are some things I'm wondering, like that screen pass that they threw was like 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 15 or something. And it was this real nice screen pass to Charles Sims. Jameis was still in, and he picks up like 7. Like, where is that, like, on first down? Why does it have to be 3rd and like 13 before you throw a play that well, if it pops, it'll get 13, but we're kind of, but it's probably going to get around 7, 8, 9. Where are those on like 1st and 2nd down? And everyone's wondering this, like, where's the slant pass to Deshaun Jackson on 1st and 2nd down? Where's this the seam route to Cam Brate? Why has it got to be 3rd and 8 before we start throwing to Cam, or inside the 10? I got you. I know what you're saying. Go ahead.
If you think about all the great deep ball throwers in the NFL right now, your Drew Brees, Tom Brady, those guys are throwing 3, 4, 5 passes for 5 yards, thinking dunks to the outside before they ever start opening up downfield.
Right.
So
but that's
they're not.
Once again, it goes back to offensive scheme.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that I think that if a change had to be made, I think that Dirk Koetter should step aside and bring in another offense coordinator because he's the head coach. So I'm not so sure that the defense is always the problem. I think that if the defense had points on the board, they'd play differently. I think that you could blitz a lot more when you're up or at least in a game. But it just seems like they're just not efficient. The offense is super inept, so it's just nothing to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with inept. I do like inefficient though. I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of the team and I'm sort of hanging on every offensive play, but I feel like even when we're not behind, I feel like the offense is a little frantic. It feels like it's a little rushed, and I feel like it's a little bit in panic mode, no matter what the score is. It just always seems like it's a little bit in panic mode. There's a lot of plays that go for no yards or negative yards, especially runs. And that's the things you don't see with the Drew Brees and the Tom Brady's as we're completing those 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards completions on first and second down and getting to third and manageable. So, yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I love what you guys do. I'm glad that you guys are giving us more Bucs content. I think it's great. I do think that you guys should have your own press, your press thing. I want to hear you guys asking questions in those meetings.
We're gonna start a petition, Ren. I think that's probably our right next step.
Yep.
The fans demand it.
The fans demand it. Thanks for calling in, Edmund.
Yeah, you got to put that stuff up on Twitter, man. We'll definitely back you.
The wheels are spinning. We never. You can't see me, but I'm stroking my goatee right now.
Twisting my mustache.
Thanks, Edmund.
Thanks.
That's fun. It's always fun. I believe that would be Edmund's very first call to us here at the show. It's always good to get a new person in. So,
and I want to be clear that I'm not pushing for a change of offensive coordinator. As of right now, what I'm saying is basically you need to play to Jameis' strengths.
Change the scheme.
And change the scheme a little bit. Now, he's good at those 17, 21, 22-yard where he, it's like, he throws it like a clothesline, like a laser or a cannon shot. He's good at those. So it's just the deep ball. But I don't even know if 3 or 4 deep balls, he misses on them all, but that still seems like a pretty good ratio. So maybe I'm not saying change the scheme. I just have to watch the game again.
Let's find out and see who we've got here. You're on with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast. Who do we got here tonight?
Sorry for the late entry, guys, but it's Kevin.
Kevin Sloan, what's going on,
doing,
friend?
guys?
Kevin, how are you, buddy?
Man, what's up, Ren? What's up, Brent? Man, where do we even start?
That's where we started this show. Where do we start?
Roughly 24 points in the first half, and then make a hell of a comeback to lose by 5. I don't even know. I'm kind of at a loss. I've been frustrated on Twitter for the last 3 hours after the damn game is over with.
I've seen it.
You see my rant. And even I'm on the chat room, even talking about what's going on. We need a pass rush in the worst ways possible. Carson Palmer had all day to literally read a book, tell a story, even tell a bad joke to pick us apart the first half.
Oh, Carson Palmer, Tom Brady, Case Keenum. I mean, those guys had easy chairs in the pocket,
God, don't even bring up Case Keenum, please. No, he's like the Bucs curse of quarterback. I can't stand that guy. Every week we play him, he's literally beat us. And I don't get it. How we lose to that guy?
The Packers lost to him today.
It frustrates me.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's frustrating. I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
But even listening to you guys chatting, I clearly think that Coach Koetter definitely needs to either regress his play calling duties to possibly, I think it's whoever the OC is right now. I know about the Jakein. I think it's Todd Monken.
Yeah,
give Todd Monken a shot. Kind of let Jakein focus on Jameis and let Monken do what he can. He's got Mike Evans to play really, really good football the last 2 seasons. I clearly think that he could be a pretty good OC if you just tell Dirk, focus on the team, you call the play, and make something happen. Because obviously Dirk is way over his head right now. You can just see it. It's every week. We always run slow. And then it seems like we get a burst of energy in that weird, second half where just something happens and we just play better, and I don't get it. Hell, look at Mike Smith. What is his deal? We're glad we got him back in the off season, but where's the production at? I don't know.
All questions we've been asking. But Ren, do you want to tackle the play calling one real quick with Kevin here?
sure. I don't mind the play calling. I think it comes down to execution. Now, honestly, the first half of that game is an absolute blur to me. Like, I can't really remember what we did offensively. I know we couldn't run that well.
Crap.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we got on the field that much.
Half.
Yeah.
But we didn't get on the field that much because, they had a drive of 89 yards, like 79, 86, and 95 yards. The first 3 times they touched the ball for touchdown. So your offense isn't on there that much.
And I think Ren, for that, I think 2 of those 3 times they went 3 and out.
Yeah, I think
probably.
3 and out. Yeah.
But
and
it
then
was because
Adrian Peterson come from the grave.
Yeah. It was just it's like I kind of used the euphemism. I don't even know if that's the right word. I kind of fit the perfect storm with the Minnesota game, and it just seems to happen again. And this, it's just a little bit of deja vu of last year, where we have these expectations as a team that we can beat, and we lay an egg. We did it against Arizona, and then we did it against the Rams. And then we did it against the Falcons on Thursday night, where what was it, like 52-0 by the second quarter.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This team is just so up and down, and you got to point a little bit to the coach always say it's them that need to get the team ready. So, but also the players have got to take some kind of responsibility.
Players got to execute. The coaches are not the ones.
Agree, and players got to execute. Completely agree.
So as far as the play calling, just to finish it off, I really don't remember what happened in the first half. I know Jameis got hurt. There were some incompletions. There was some pressure. The O-line didn't really block that well for Doug. I remember one time I didn't really like the pass, run, pass, like combo on a 3-and-out, but that's just, I'm never going to agree with that, all 100% of that stuff. I think this is where I'm standing after this game, and I've made this decision while we've started. I didn't have this before we started this podcast. Jameis needs to stick to what Jameis does best. Dirk Koetter needs to figure that out and quit trying to pigeonhole him into his offense if Jameis doesn't do his offense well. And then once Jameis gets good, once you keep Jameis doing what Jameis does, then you can slowly bring him up to what, to open the playbook to all the possibilities. Because this, calling these plays and expecting, it's square peg round hole. Like, Jameis can't throw the ball deep. He can't do it. He can't complete it deep. His accuracy is terrible. Will it change? Hopefully. Maybe. We don't know. So you have to do something else, just like the Giants did. They went to this quick passing offense, and they won last week, and now they're up like against Denver in Denver right now. They were 0-5. They switch up the offense, and things are starting to click. Like, find out what Jameis does. Good.
Yeah, that's.
So it's less play calling.
I was going to say
new playbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, the plays are in there.
They just changed coordinators, right? Tonight, did they just change coordinators?
Oh, the Giants? I don't know.
Didn't the coach give the duties over to one of the receiver coaches? I think it was maybe.
I think that might be actually what Javier is saying in the chat room, that it's Mike Sullivan. Ben McAdoo yielded that over to Mike Sullivan.
Oh my God! Oh God! Remember that name, guys? Mike freaking Sullivan.
Yeah.
That is an interesting name to hear, right?
So that's, that certainly is an argument for maybe he should give up the play calling duties. I'm not saying that I think he should. I'm just saying
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, but Ren, I do hear you, and I agree with you, man. We talked about this last year. You can't. One of Lovey's biggest downfalls was he always wanted the players to fit his scheme. Joe Bucs fans called him Coach My Scheme, is what they kept calling it. Coach My Scheme, Coach My Scheme is what they kept calling Lovey Smith. And Mike Smith came in saying, listen, we're going to fit the scheme to our players. If the scheme we have doesn't work, we're going to change our scheme to fit who we have. And if that also needs to apply to the offense. If the scheme we have isn't fitting the players that we have, then we need to switch up the scheme to fit who we have.
I have to agree that, like we've been saying, what is the identity of the Buccaneers? That's been like the main overall question. I think you guys even mentioned before the season started, before even like when training camp started, what is this identity? Are we going to be a running team? Are we going to be a passing team? Are we going to be a defensive, first team or defensive first or offensive second? We don't have a clear identity, honestly. And yeah, like you said, we need to fit more of the team and what philosophy that they want. I also think that dink and dunk may work for us because we do have speed and we have strength now with our receivers and tight ends. I think that may work, possibly.
It's possible. It is possible. So
they got the talent.
That they do. Well, Kevin,
man, we got the talent on the offensive side of the ball. It's scary.
And that's the thing. We've got to get the talent to match up to the production. Or the production has to match up to the talent that we have.
There you go.
Because there's
quick question for you guys.
Sure.
Remember in the rant in the chat room, we talked about pass rush. Is there anybody in free agency that we can sign? Because obviously the Bucs are supposedly looking. They had Kamar Houston in for a workout. Didn't sign him. Guess what? He signed with somebody. And we do need some pass rush help because I see Robert Ayers and Noah Spence clearly they need help.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not really my strong suit. As in, like, I don't do that. Like, I don't really love the X's and O's enough to go around and start digging. Like, who are the best defensive end rushing free agents? Google that.
Right.
Yeah.
We did sign 2 defensive ends. When what was his name? Hunter came in.
There's Pat Houston. Lamar Houston came in. We did not sign him. Now, Kevin, I would caution people to remember we don't know why he didn't sign. We don't know if the Bucs offered him something and he said no and he chose to go somewhere else, or if the Bucs just didn't offer him anything, or why the Bucs might not have offered him something. Or maybe they just couldn't come to agreement. We just don't know why he didn't sign. But as Ren said, we did sign 2 defensive ends to our practice squad: Patrick O'Connor, and something Webster, Lenny Webster,
yes.
Larry Webster, something like that. And so Emmanuel, so we'll see what happens with those 2 guys as they get a couple weeks on, if any of them get promoted to the main squad, and maybe that is something that we have there. But I'll tell you, I'll bet you I know who would know, or at least who would have a good feel for it, would be Mr. Riley Allman. He seems to have a good beat on that kind of stuff that's out there. So maybe
he does.
We hit him up. For a 13-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid. Man, his
smart,
knowledge of who
smart.
is out there is amazing. So much respect and the tip of the hat to Riley there. So Kevin, I'm gonna go ahead and clear the line. We had somebody trying to call in. We'll give them a chance to call us back.
Sure.
Thanks,
guys. And I'll talk to you guys in the chat room. Hey, let us know who we got next week because I have no clue who we play at all.
Buffalo.
There you go. Buffalo in Buffalo.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're at Buffalo.
Pray for us. Yep. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, that was Kevin, good friend of the show. Guys, line is clear. If you were trying to call in just a minute ago, you want to call us back, the line is now clear, 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we were.
I think we're still, sort of delving into the do we need to switch up play calling scheme?
Mm-hmm.
Does Dirk Koetter need to give up the offensive play calling? I'm still in the camp that he doesn't, but I believe the conversation now needs to start being had.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week and all before that. And it's not because I don't think he's a bad play caller. I'm just going to go back to it and say it again. I think, at least I feel, and before I say this, the next time I coach, a NFL football game,
football team, yeah,
a college, a high school, a peewee,
that has
or
what is it, a $287 million budget for salary.
Yeah, or even like my local flag football rec team. The first time I step on a field and coach those guys, or I should say the next time, will be the first time. So take this with a grain of salt. But
but you're killing it in fantasy, Ren. You're killing it.
Well, yeah, that's easy though. So from my very untrained eye, I feel that Dirk is trying to but make Jameis fit his scheme, which is a very good scheme, which can work because we saw it at the end of the Patriots game and we saw it when Ryan Fitzpatrick got in there. The scheme will move the ball and you can put points on the board. But it is very heavy, on explosives. Explosives mean, long passing plays mostly. And Jameis, I'm done with the chemistry thing. He's not any good at it. Now you're going to have to prove me wrong. My stance on Jameis is you stink at the long ball. Your accuracy is terrible. Fix it or not. I hope you do. But until I see it, right now your accuracy is terrible. So Dirk Koetter needs to scheme something and find out. I'm sure he realized what Jameis does better, but scheme his offense and his game plan to that, and and quit trying basically put a round peg into a square hole. But then before the call came, I said, well, if they only take 4 or 5 shots deep, that's sort of how that's still like a good ratio. Would I be if we did a short passing game and still took 4 or 5 shots deep? Would I be happy with that? Yeah, I would. But do we really take more than 4 or 5 shots deep now?
You guys can't see it out there in radio land, but I'm thinking, and I don't know that we do, Ren.
So what am I saying? Does it make any sense at all? If you really think about it,
that might be one of those questions. If you were to ask Dirk Koetter, he'd look at you and go, "Well, let's break it down and see what we actually do." No, he wouldn't say that.
He wouldn't say that. He'd go,
right. Right.
He'd laugh.
And you'd be sitting there saying, why'd I ask a stupid question? Don't ask a stupid question.
No, I would not. That stuff doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me.
All right, so we're right up on our hour, so we'll go ahead. It's final call for anyone who wants to be the final call, 864-729-BUCKS. One more thing to talk about, Ren, and then I think we'll put a button on this one for this week.
Sure.
I want to talk about our running game, specifically Doug Martin. Now, first half, he did nothing. Second half, he started breaking open and running down. This is Doug's second game back. How are you feeling about Doug being back on this team?
I think he did fine for what was given him. There was 1 or 2 runs where I thought he missed the hole, and a second one where he was starting getting the Charles Sims happy feet. But I think that was because he was constantly given the ball, and as soon as he gets the ball and he looks up, there's a guy in his face. He didn't have time to. He's trying to make somebody miss before he gets the ball in his hand, and that was, happening a lot. So the lack of the running game in the first half, I pinned that on the offensive line. I'm not exactly sure who or where, to be honest. Maybe just Arizona had a good scheme going. And in the second half, when he started to do better, I'm going to equate that to that they were playing a lot of soft zone and not playing 8 men in the box because we knew we had to throw. So I think he gets sort of an incomplete. I think this isn't a game where you can tell where he is or judge where he is as a running back and how it's back, because he never really got a chance to get started, and when he did, it was against a very soft, run-friendly defense.
Well, I will say this, less about Doug Martin and more a little bit going back to Dirk Koetter. I did note the second time that we got out there, it was our second series. The Bucs were down by 2 touchdowns at that point because, the first half of this game was horrible. And I asked the question and put it out there on Twitter. I said, okay, they're down by 2 touchdowns. Do we abandon the run? What do we do?
No.
And I was really glad to see they didn't abandon the run. They came out, and the very first play they ran was a run play, and then they went to a passing play, and they went back to a run play. For whatever it's worth, they did try to establish the run, even being down by a couple of touchdowns. They didn't do what they did back in Minnesota, which was just pass the entire rest of the game.
You know what they can abandon, because it hasn't worked ever this whole entire year, is that naked bootleg pitch, where he fakes the pitch, Jameis fakes the pitch, and then, does a reverse spin with his back to the defensive end that's supposed to be let free, but, the defensive end is supposed to crash down the line, following the play fake, and Jameis, comes out of the roll, the bootleg, and he's supposed to be wide open. I've seen Jameis run it 3 times. It's never been wide open. He's been running for his life, and then they ran it with Fitzpatrick tonight, who also had to run for his life. So don't run that play anymore. That's what you can quit doing for me.
All right. All right. Well, the end. We'll go ahead and put a button on it there for that.
Hasn't worked yet. Still not working.
It hasn't worked yet. All right, Ren. We'll go ahead and sign off on the InstantCast for today. Horrible game. I don't know. Horrible first half.
Horrible 3.5 quarters.
3.5. Yeah. And my God, these Bucs came back from. It seems like 31-0 at some point. Was it? I don't. Exactly. Was it 31-0? Right.
Yeah.
Bucs came back 31-0, and we got it up to 38-33. We put points on the board. Something that we haven't done. Like can you imagine what would have happened if we put 33 points up on the Patriots? We would have won. Put 33 points up on anyone else around this league. I mean,
loser mentality.
It's not a loser mentality. I'm just no. What I'm saying is to sit back and go, man, the Bucs just laid down and took it. No, they didn't.
Don't count. It's
don't.
worse than a bronze medal. It's worse than a bronze medal at the Pan American Games.
Yeah. See, now you're sounding like Ricky Bobby. You ain't first, you're last.
That's true.
It is true.
I mean, factually, it's true. I'm sorry if you're not first. You're last.
in a two team game, if you're
man
not
race.
first, you are last. That is true. All right, guys. Well, we are going to sign off. We've got a main show coming up later this week, which will be releasing probably Wednesday morning. And then, hey, did you guys know that this past week, Ren and I started a brand new supplemental show here to the PewterCast that we'll be releasing Saturday mornings is the plan. And basically the whole idea of that show is to take all the news that has come out when everything is said and done through the week and be able to distill that down and figure out what that means going forward. It's not so much a game preview as much as just what did we learn coming out of one Buck from this week, and what could that mean for us for the weekend. So you guys be looking for that Saturday mornings. The show that we put out this last week, Ren, is doing phenomenal. It's doing really, really great. So glad to kind of add that show to our family. And hey, listen,
and it's only going to get better because there were some things that I wanted to talk about that I totally spaced on.
Yeah,
that
was our first show.
Yeah, we just winged it. Like when you called me, like, okay, how are we going to do this? And you just laughed. You're like, round robin. Okay, let's go. Hit record. Let's roll. But, we didn't even talk about the Arizona injury report and how that would affect the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some other ideas. But it was fun. It's nice and short. It's a great Saturday listen while you're, piddling around the house, piddling around the yard, running errands to the store. So
it's meant to be short, for sure.
Shorter. It's just shorter. What do we call it? Bucking news?
Bucking the news. Please, if anyone has a good idea for how to end it or even a new name, we're open to it. It's so new. We just decided it was something good to do. But what that does mean, Ren, is that our PewterCast listeners are getting now 3 shows a week.
True.
Which my wife might kill me, but that's okay because fans deserve it. And so we'll have all that. So you guys be on the lookout for that.
See how that fly.
She doesn't listen to the show.
Fans deserve it.
She doesn't listen to
fans
the
show.
It.
That'll work. That'll work for you.
You guys can find us on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us a review, please, preferably 5 stars on the rating. Or subscribe to us on whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. You can get in touch with the show at the PewterCast on Twitter, facebook.com/thepewtercast, or shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We would love to have your feedback for the main show. That is a big section that we do. So go ahead and send in those emails, or call the line 864-729-BUCKS. Leave a voicemail. We'll take that as well. But that's how you get in touch with them. I'm Brent Allen Live on Twitter and on Facebook. Ren, where can people get in touch with you personally out there on the internet?
The best way is on Twitter. It's at RenDaxt, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. You can also find my writing at the Pewter Plank. There's also an app. Just go on, whatever, Google Play or your iStore. I don't even know what it is called for Apple. Apple app,
iTunes,
maybe.
Yeah,
iTunes.
Yeah.
Just type
iTunes,
in the
Apple
Plank.
Podcast, I think actually is now what they're doing it. It's brand new.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can find it, the Pewter Plank app. It's on your phone. Nice, clean. It's a really cool app. I have a reoccurring article that comes out on it Friday? Yeah, Thursday. No, it's Fridays and Saturdays. I'm sorry. Fridays and Saturdays, I always have 2 recurring articles, and as of about an hour and a half ago, this show, the InstantCast, will be appearing on all their posts, the Peter Planks posts on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So you can find our InstantCast podcast, recording available for download besides everywhere. Now it will be on the Peter Planks posts Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for you. So you can listen to there as well.
That's super fun. Can't wait to be able
cool.
to get
it was
those
real
out
nice
there.
of them guys to do it. James and David, contacted me because I write for them, and they contacted me, through a messenger, and they're like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, good friends of the show. James has been on several times over the last season. We haven't had David on yet. We should maybe look at.
Well, until he improves his fantasy performance, I don't think he deserves it.
All right. Well, David, you are being blocked by the co-host of the Pewtercast, Rendaxed. But I don't know. We're still lining up all our guests for the season. So anyway, hey, we're beyond that. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Mixler.com/Pewtercast. We'll be back here next week, 9:00 after the Bills game. We've got that coming up. Two more shows coming up over the course of this week. Until then, Bucs fans, keep your head up, be frustrated, and we'll bounce back. But we'll finish the show saying, like we always do, go Bucs.